Arach Samach Dalid, one that opens up in the way we've seen many others open up. Nal Natsech Mizmor LeDavid. For the leader, a Psalm of David doesn't have that same, doesn't have that. There's no instruments mentioned here or those sort of things, but let's see what happens. Shma Elohim Koli Visichi Mipachad Oyev Titzor Chayai, as opposed to the last chapter, which was really about clinging to God. And right at the end, he said, get rid of these enemies of mine. You gut them completely. Here, David starts with that. Hear my voice, God, when I plead to you, when I speak to you. Guard my life from the fear that I have of my enemies, from their terror. Tastireni misod mireim, merikshat poale aven. Hide me from these evil men, from their and from a crowd of evildoers. Interesting, this word sod here, sod oftentimes means a secret. It's not the way that it's being translated here by many. But maybe it's again, as he said in many times in the past, where there's been sort of secret plots to come to get him, the lying in wait, these people who are trying to come to get him. So he has these people that are trying to kill him. He's running away from Shaul and Doeg, Hayadomi, and all of Shaul's men. Asher shananu chacherev lishonam darchu chitzam davar mar, who whet their tongues like swords. They aim their arrows. Their words are bitter. Their words are cruel. And this has been one of the themes, the ill speech towards David, the accusations against him of being rotten, of being a rebel, of being an evil person. Lirot, we're in Pasuk Hey. Lirot bamistarim tam pitom yoruhu velo yira. They shoot from hiding at a blameless man, right? I am Tam. It's the same word that we have used for Yaakov. Yaakov ish Tam. Yoshev Ohalim. Yaakov was a pure person, was a person of no destruction, and they shoot. Pitom, suddenly they're shooting arrows, and they're not scared of anything. Here I was, the general in army. Here I was, the son-in-law of the king. Here I was with all these friends, with all these fans, and all of a sudden, I am enemy number one, running for my life because of this great lie that has been perpetrated about me. Yichazku lamo davar ra, yisapru litmon mokshim, amru mir elamo. They strengthen themselves, they arm themselves with what? With davar ra, with something that's evil. When they speak, it's about traps, right? They're saying nice things to lure me in. They think, who will see them? Yichapsu olot tamnu chefes michufas v'kerev ish v'lev amok. Let their wrongdoings be hidden. Let each one of them, right? Each one of them has their secret thoughts that is, acting like my friends, but in the end, it's not the case. And let their secret thoughts be exposed. Let it be known that they are evil, that they are problematic, that what they're trying to do to me. V'yoreim Elohim chetz pitom. God should shoot them with arrows. Hayu makotam. They will be struck down suddenly. And we know that arrows has been used in the last chapter. This chapter, it's more in the right to describe in verse 4, Darchu chitzam davar mar. They aim their arrows, their words are bitter and cruel and angry. And so here, just like in the last chapter, David was in the midbar and is wishing sort of these people to be in the place of the jackals, the midbar, the wilderness, the uninhabited areas. Here, their words are like arrows towards him. And he's asking God to send God's arrows back at them. Continuing Pasuk Tet, verse 9. Vayachshiluhu alemo lishonam yitnodadu kol ro'evam. Their tongue will be their downfall. All those who see them will recoil in horror. And so just interestingly, like to think about the world in which we live in today, where there's so much, you go on the internet and you can read whatever you want, whatever fake sort of information, or this news channel or that news channel, and the way that things are described and the way that they're told to us. And there's so much that's hard to figure out what is real, what is the actual truth or somewhat of the truth. And David is saying, right, these people who are lying and who are calling me an evil man and calling me I am just Tom, and eventually the truth will come out, is what he's saying here, and then everybody will see them, will be horrified knowing who they are. If I can make like a comment, like Alex Jones, right? Alex Jones, who I don't know what they're doing with him, but right, he lost his $200 million suit because of the shooting. Was it in a first grade or a kindergarten? And he said the whole thing was made up. And you would hope that in America he would be enemy number one, but who knows, right? But he, lying. These people whose kids were killed in the shooting, claiming that they're liars and they made it all up, et cetera, et cetera. So at least me, I don't know about anybody else. I imagine a lot of people are horrified by him. He's a horrific person, it's to the accusations that he made. And so that to me is sort of indicative of what David is saying here. Continuing in Pasuk Yud. V'yiru chol adam ve'agidu poel Elohimu ma'aseu hiskilu. All men will stand in awe. They will proclaim the work of God, his deed which they understand. So, right, this is when God takes revenge, when Alex Jones is brought to justice, even though somehow, I don't know, he's not paying up his fines or whatever. Yismach tzadik b'Adonai v'chasavo v'yithalelu kol yishrei lev. The righteous, what's going to happen then? Everybody's going to see the work of God. And we've had this many times where God, it's not evident your strength and your power because of there's so much negativity and there's so much evil that's pervasive in this world, and people slinging arrows with their horrific works. So when the changes happen, everybody will proclaim the works of God. And at that time, the righteous will rejoice in God. And the upright will be able to scream out in joy. And so in these two, chapters, which are not exactly the same, the two chapters we just looked at, first one is much more about David's desire to cling to God, and the enemies are sort of an afterthought, but it has that idea, I'm going to cling to God, and when your enemies are taken care of, then we'll be able to shout out and be joyous and be happy, and the enemies will have to be silent. They won't be able to open up our mouths. As opposed to this one, the prominent idea in this chapter is much more the enemies and getting rid of them before your name is known, holy God, and this way the righteous and everybody else will be evident to all. And so think about, especially the second chapter, from the context of the world in which we live in today, where you never know what's true and what's not true, and what's real and what's not real, and news that comes out, and this one saying this and that one saying that, and it could be very problematic for people. And David obviously was problematic for him, that he was described and called part of his life that he was an enemy of the king, an enemy of Israel. And so he's running away and just wants to return to his former status as an upstanding member and leader of the Jewish people.